Like the Real Housewives of Max Verstappen up in here.
Checo's checked out.
Joe Lonyu is off the track. That steak is cooked.
A lot, I gotta say, a lot is at stake for Steak F1.
Man, even the broadcast couldn't handle that stat.
Man, my heart almost was screaming like, how can anybody be a Lewis Hamilton fan?
No.
Not on my 2024 bingo card.
Yeah, gonna have to create a new one now.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Lights Out Latest. It's been a minute, but I'm Marina, and I'm here with Jason, Tristan, and Steven. We're finally all back. It was a hell of a race, but it has been like 2 weeks since last pod, so let's catch up on some recent news. First and foremost, FIA changed the minimum age for an F1 super license from 18 to 17, and they removed the amendment that you have to have a valid road license in order to get your F1 super license. What do you guys think? Good thing, bad thing?
Not a
little
bad.
bit of both.
A little bit of both, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I live for the day that the super license keeps going lower and lower. These kids are going to get better and better by like maybe even 14, 15.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, even in the States, like in some of the lower racing series, you can start on a full-bodied car at like 12. So, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Obviously, it's they're anticipating Kimmy, right? So that's the whole vibe. I guess it checks out.
Yeah,
I think it's been totally fine. Like, we've seen young drivers before with little experience. Like, Kimi Räikkönen came in with barely any car experience. Max Verstappen, obviously, when he was 17, was already in an F1 car. Overall, I think it's fine. Like, literally, multi-world championship driver have come through that way. And they didn't need to be 18 to be able to know how to drive a car.
Yeah. One of the prime examples I think of is Leah Block coming into, was she in F2 now? I just remember, I don't know if you've ever seen the videos, Tristan, of her racing, rally cars and stuff like that with her dad.
Yeah, with her dad.
Yeah, like, I'm sure her dad had a driver to those events and stuff like that. It's just funny that, she's in these full-time race cars and stuff like that, and they're still having to be driven to the track, which is kind of funny. But, I agree. I think it's a good move as long as they can prove that they can be safe about it, I think they have, and the talent's definitely there. So, go for it.
I think it's comparable to like if we look at like LeBron James and Bryce Harper, how they they performed at a younger age, and they found that they were like at 18 years old able to make it to the MLB level. It should all be based off of skill. It doesn't matter how old you are. If you have the skill and your parents are willing to consent and stuff like that, then bingo, make it happen. So
that's actually a good question. Is there like consent involved in this? Like the parents have to sign off? I'm curious now.
I would think that if you're signing a contract and you're not 18, that there would have to be like a second signer, whether that be a parent or like a manager or something, that because you're not 18 of age. My big thing, I really like this. This is like for a long time, this rule has been kind of known as like the Max Verstappen rule because he came in at 17 and then they changed it to 18 and like he was like the youngest ever and probably will still be, even though this rule is things. My thing is a lot of people complain that it's like you can't change the rules for one driver because like
that's
you
a fair point.
In attempt to bring Kimi Antonelli in earlier, but I don't think this rule changes for Kimi Antonelli because he's turning 18 in August. So it's not like maybe he'll drive one FP1 session before then, but he's not going to be in a full-time race seat before then. I think this is more so because of Kimi Antonelli, because him and Behrman, they've shown that they can be so good, so young. Max Verstappen even, and coming in at 17 now heading to his fourth potential world championship. So I think it's like you kind of said, I don't think age matters.
Yeah.
But I do think, and this is where I kind of come back at like the IndyCar fans that I've been saying all over Twitter, is I do think super license points matter. I think that you still have to be qualified. You just don't have to be 18.
Yeah.
I think the age doesn't matter, but you being able to, and maybe this is something where we revisit the amount of points you get on the IndyCar side.
I agree with that.
The Formula, the junior series size, it is quite fair. The way you do it. I still think you have to have the 40 super license points to get your F1 super license. I don't think that should change. But maybe we revisit how many points you get for certain things on the IndyCar side to allow these drivers coming in from the American side to still make it to F1. So
IndyCar should definitely award more points. Like it's less than, I think it's closer to like Formula 3 level amount of points.
I think so, yeah.
It's super low, and these very soon they're going to be hybrid engines soon in IndyCar too. they're going to be hybrid single-seater
Yeah.
vehicles with drivers that have gone all over the world, from IMSA to Le Mans to Formula One and back again to NASCAR and through IndyCar again. These are world-class drivers, and it needs to be, if not the same as F2, maybe even a little bit more than F2.
Yeah.
Based on the top 5, because
Yeah.
like the winners, they get a bunch of points. I think it's like 20 super license points for winning IndyCar.
Yeah.
But after that, it like drops off steep, and it's nowhere close to what Formula 2 awards.
Yeah.
I don't.
Because we see IndyCar, you see like F1 drivers or F2 drivers that have gone to IndyCar. So like drivers like I think Marcus Armstrong had the super license points to make it to F1. He just never got a seat, and now he's racing in IndyCar. So it's not like these drivers aren't qualified.
Yeah.
They're racing just as well, and they're racing against former F1 drivers and things like that. So
I think to your point also, I think it shouldn't be based on like finishing position or anything like that. Like Jason was saying, I think it should be based more off of the penalties you commit and the crashes that happen. Like just basically, looking at your driving style, how things compare to other drivers and stuff like that.
Oh, sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
Maturity on track rather than maturity like in age.
Yeah,
I think
that's a good point.
another like not talked about, but like lap time. Like you could not wreck the car, you cannot. But if you're way off pace,
that
should also be like an element. Like
I just looked it up. It's almost equal with Formula E with IndyCar, and Formula 3. Even though you get more points for winning IndyCar, you get 40 super license points, the same as winning Formula 2. Formula 3, you only get 30. After that, it drops off. Like 4th place in IndyCar only gets you 10. 4th place in Formula 3 gets you 15. Or 2nd place in Formula 2 gets you 40. 2nd place in IndyCar gets you 30. So there's like, you should get probably more than that.
So do some of like the IndyCar regulars have super licenses that?
Yeah,
like
they're eligible.
Martin and all them,
like Pillow.
Okay. They're eligible, but they might not necessarily have them.
Yeah, they probably haven't gotten. They probably won't apply for an F1 super license until they're like getting a contract, because
like you need 40 to get one.
Yeah, I think they probably already have everything they need. From before the regulation, they're definitely 18. They definitely have a road license, and if they have the 40 points, they are like they can get one.
Yeah.
The question is, why would you get one if you're not going to like be in a full-time F1 seat or one? So
I just think it sounds cool to have one.
It's a flex.
Someone's like, I have a super license.
Man.
For drivers,
license and registration, you will get the super license.
Yeah.
Like, I got a super
Sir.
license, not just a license.
Well, my other thing too is like for drivers, especially like era McLaren drivers, like it would make perfect sense for them to have one, because it's easy for them to get called on if like Lando were to have like an accident like Stroll had last year and like hurt himself mid-season, like going to triple header, for example, you're not going to be able to come back. Or even Carlos appendicitis, if it had happened in the middle of a triple header like this weekend, you're definitely not going to be able to come back. So
yeah,
I mean, I think it'd be more probably happen more often. They would be calling a Formula 2 driver or former F1 driver, but still you have that bargaining chip. Be like, I have my F1 super license, so why don't you give me a shot, for the weekend?
So here's my question. Are there different super licenses? I mean, obviously there's different points, but are they like different for each series then?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, because like I think to your point, Tristan, I think it'd be good, not to put it this way, but to have it on your resume per se. It just makes you more flexible. You can be open to more series and stuff like that.
That's kind of what I was saying. That's kind of what my thought process was. It was just like,
because if not, then you're just limiting yourself. And
it's like why not get forklift certified?
Exactly.
Yeah, I can, I will.
Yeah.
Anyways, resident Ferrari fan over here, the car number 50 Ferrari car won Hypercar Le Mans. I don't want to speak. I don't know if they're the first ever team or if they're the first team in a long time to win both Le Mans and Monaco in the same year.
First team in a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember if it was, I believe it could have been either Alfa Romeo or Jaguar. They won Monaco and Le Mans like in the 60s.
Yeah.
I think it was 1963. Yeah, so awesome for that. And also, it's the other car. Last year, it was Antonio Giovinazzi's car, the 51. The 51 this year. So each set of drivers got a win now, which is really cool.
Dude, if Ferrari keeps acting up at Le Mans, we're coming back with fury.
GT Mach 2,
that'd be
baby.
Oh, yeah.
so cool. I would love that.
That would
Let's
be
go.
awesome.
GM's already
It's a
there.
completely different class. Like, I forget when they brought the GT back to Le Mans a couple of years ago with, I think, Chip Ganassi ran it. Was it technically like
It was like a GTD, I think.
GTD?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the GTE class back then.
Because they were competing with vets.
Ford doesn't collaborate with Cadillac on what's it called, the hypercars, right? No,
I wouldn't think so since Cadillac is a GM product.
Yeah, Cadillac's GM, but I assume, I don't know. So if Ford got in on the WEC cars or the Le Mans cars, that'd be so cool.
Well, I thought there was whispers about. Have you ever seen like that new? It's like a Ford GT Mach 2 like Pro or something.
No.
I don't think it's quite to the hypercar status. It might be.
Yeah.
But it's definitely better than the GT was in the GTE class. I know that.
Well, I'm looking at it now. This thing's gorgeous,
right?
Man.
Yep. Put that with the new GTT Mustang, and you got pack, baby.
Yeah.
I tell you what.
Shout out to someone who we have spent a lot of hours on this podcast speaking negatively about, but Nick DeFries was on that podium as well. P2 with Toyota, I want to say it was. Yeah, Toyota.
Yep.
So
well, Nick, you found your calling.
With Rui Kobayashi, another XF1 driver.
Exactly. So, and Giovinazzi was, like you said, third with the 51 car. So, former F1 drivers showing out. I think there were like 18 former F1 drivers on the Le Mans grid this year.
It's fully loaded. Like even Button was there. He was racing one of the Porsches, not a factory Porsche, for Hertz Joda. So he finished 9th though.
Yeah.
And where was Daniel Kvyat was there in the Lamborghini?
Brandon Hartley.
I think Grosjean had a lot of problems. Yeah, 13th.
I wonder how the drivers on the current grid feel about drivers doing well in WEC. Like, I just wonder what their perspective is on it.
Some enjoy it.
Yeah, I don't think it changes how they see a driver's capabilities in F1 because they're so different. But Fernando Alonso has talked about it a lot. He's like, I want to go back to 24 Hours of Le Mans with Max. I want to race it with Max. Max
has already won it a couple times. Alonso.
Yeah. Max wants to do it. He just doesn't know if during the season will work because he's overweight for Le Mans. Like he's too heavy and he needs to be lighter. Unless they take like Yuki with them, because then Yuki's super light and he'll kind of
there you go.
Grand scheme of things.
Yuki is a cheat code in WEC.
I don't even know if they'll let him in the car.
You're too light. You can't do this.
This thing would go airborne.
Kind of like Jason's Tech Tuesday video.
That awesome. Yep. A great lift and not drag.
Back to F1. Huge rumor alert. Supposedly an email was sent out followed by a WhatsApp message thread accusing Mercedes, from someone inside Mercedes accusing or alleging that the team was kind of being biased or sabotaging Lewis Hamilton. Tocho said it's completely false, and that they also followed it up with filing a police report. But I think it's kind of funny that the same weekend that happens, Lewis Hamilton happens to outqualify his teammate for the first time all season. So
let's put a tinfoil hats on.
They got us. We got to finally give them the right parts. It's so early internet troll. I mean,
that'd be such a Mercedes thing to do. Oh my gosh.
If there's any truth behind it, it's because he's leaving the team. And as with any driver or staff leaving the team, eventually you get left out of meetings of this is what you're developing for the future.
Yeah.
Here's the secret sauce that we're going to apply in the next few months. You get left out of those type of meetings. So
I
if
can imagine what that's like.
I bet it's that.
Yeah, even some maybe half-baked
it's like
new
Toto's
parts
new type of pumpernickel. That's what he's being left out on. So.
No, Lewis, you're not invited to the lunches anymore. Get out of here.
All right, let's finally move into Grand Prix weekend. First and foremost, McLaren's electrical fire was insane. I don't know if y'all saw that.
I heard about it briefly. I didn't really know what the context
So,
was,
right
other than
before
what caught a
we
fire.
had an electrical fire that came in from like underneath the floorboards,
Jeez.
like on like I think it's like the ground, the main
Oh,
floor or
no.
whatever.
I just
I
had a realization.
We have this beautiful image of a firefighter planning how to fight the fire and his checklist right
Oh
on the
my
Alpine
God.
hospitality. I hope that's Drive to Survive right there, like
I
zooming
really
in.
hope so too.
I can't read Spanish, but
Okay,
somebody
wait, hold
will.
on.
So
If you
yeah,
send
no,
me, I can read
wonderful.
it to you.
How to
Great.
put out a fire. Step
Hmm.
1.
Yeah, but
Fire
I thought
water.
it showed, and Brown like said this in like his Instagram post or whatever from like he's like it showed that even on track, even though on track they're like the fiercest of competitors and everybody wants to win, like it showed the community F1 because I know that like they gave they helped Lando out with like a place to like stay between sessions and like food for the workers and stuff. Like they went to other teams to get like lunch and stuff like that. So because they couldn't go back into their facility, so
Yeah.
big
I
community.
That's
was just thinking too. I don't know how much you know about this, but McLarens as like automobiles, cars have been known to be having electrical problems and catching on fire. It's just it fits the brand too well, unfortunately. It's very unfortunate, but it's true.
Well, I like what you said, Marina, was that everybody always assumes, oh, they're fierce competitors. Like Red Bull, Mercedes, obviously they like hated each other.
Yeah.
But that isn't always the case. Like I read Mark Presley's book. He was a mechanic for McLaren when they're fighting Renault, like 2005, 2006, and they're like the best of friends. All the guys on either team. Like, of course, they wanted to win, but there's never any bad blood between the teams, and they'd dance together, like eat together, like all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Well-
Also, last time there was a fire in the paddock was 2012, and it was when Pastor Maldonado got pole and won his only race of his whole career.
That's
Hmm.
crazy.
Fluke
I didn't-
weekend with a Williams in 2012, and they weren't even fast that year. It would have been like if there's no good comparison this year because so many teams are so quick right now. It would have been like if Aston Martin just set pole, won the race, no problem at all, led the whole race. Like
No
it
explanation.
was like one of those weekends, and there's a
Yeah.
fire in the paddock at Williams.
Oh gosh.
You know, what's
That's-
funny is like going back to Jason, what you were saying is how a lot of the teams are like really friendly and they're all on good spirits with one another. That's so like abstract to me because like when again it's NASCAR, but when a driver is fighting another driver, like they get into heated, it usually turns into team is fighting team.
This is very true.
Like the crew will go at it with each other, and it's like, dude, imagine that on the F1 pit lane, like after a race.
Oh, man.
Imagine if like McLaren just started throwing hands at Red Bull.
To be fair, I think it has a lot to do with like led by the drivers themselves being friendly. Like if you look at like Lewis and Max to this day, like Lewis walked into the cool down room and Max was talking to Lando and like did not even like look in his direction the whole time. They like had their little conversation and Max and Lewis never really spoke to each other. And during the 2021 season, you saw them fighting so hard and the teams like being complete like opposites and negative towards each other and stuff. So it was really like team fighting team.
Yeah.
They're still not super friends or whatever. But
yeah.
when you look at like 2022 with Ferrari and Red Bull, or even this year with Red Bull and McLaren, when you look at Charles and Max are such good friends. Lando and Max are really good friends. So I think it helps a bit, like to not have those like fist fights on the pit lane. Like,
Well-
we've seen fight, like not a fight. Like the closest we got into a fight was when Esteban tried to unlap himself in 2016, and Max was
2019.
It's 2019.
Right.
Yeah.
Max was
Well,
pissed.
Man,
Heard throw fists.
I
But
can't be
Give
the
him a
only
little
one
shove.
though.
And
I
then immediate
can't
fire.
be the only one that's like of the same opinion that we need more rivalries in this.
Oh, for sure.
Like listen, I love the guys. I love how Lando and them are friends, but it kind of pisses me off.
Yeah.
That guy
Well,
is taking dinner off your table every week, and you're gonna be best friends with them. That's
I think part of it too, honestly, and I don't know, we would have to look into the rules, I guess, but I feel like knowing the FIA, like the fines and like the penalties that would be given would be absolutely insane.
yeah. But it's just like I don't know. Like I look back on, and I've, especially doing Throwback Thursday, I've learned a lot about the sport. And Ayrton Senna and Alan Prost's rivalry Like,
Those
we
two
need
throats
something
are
like
good.
that again. Like, we need those
Yeah.
guys. We need someone at each other's throats. And we had it in 2021. We
Yeah.
did when Lewis actually had a good car. Now, granted, I think if Lewis had a good car, we would still see a Max Verstappen Lewis rivalry. But like,
Yeah.
am I disingenuous in saying that it can't happen because Max is so good and because Max has such a good car? Maybe. I don't
so.
know.
'Cause,
Lando's
like,
getting up there, but again, they're best friends. Like, it's like ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
well, I think Lando has made a point, and like the media has also made a point of saying that like McLaren has had well, I guess we'll put it this way: Red Bull has not had the best car for the past at least 2, if not 3 weekends in a row.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, the weekend before in Canada, I think Mercedes had the best car, which is kind of shocking to say given how they started the season. This weekend, I think McLaren had very clearly had the best car. They had the faster car, especially towards the end of the race, kind of foreshadowing the race. But
Yeah.
I think we get to a point where the cars are so closely matched, and I do think that Lando Norris is of the caliber that can match Max Verstappen. We've seen it in the last couple races last year. So I think that if like going into next year or even the end of this year, if we really do have two drivers that are at each other's throats, I don't think that on track, at least, I do think that rivalry will come, regardless of their friendship. I think there'll come a point where if they're tied on points for the last race, like Lewis and Max were, or something similar to that, they're still gonna fight it out. They're gonna
Yeah.
be
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like Lewis and Nico, like they are so aggressive against each other, and it's even worse that they're in the same team because
Yeah.
all they do
Yeah.
is see each other all the time, every meeting, every debrief, everything, keeping secrets from the other side of the garage. Like that
Yeah.
would happen, that kind of stuff.
We need
Yeah.
Where,
that
like,
again, though.
The engineers
Yeah.
wouldn't
Esteban
share
Ocon-
info,
Esteban
or they
Ocon against the
do
world.
bad info.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I was
Should
just
say
thinking.
that.
Yeah. I was just thinking too, I feel like with NASCAR also, I think there's so many more drivers on the grid anyway. I think it's maybe, I don't know if I would say easier to have fights that way, but I feel like since like the drivers are so close knit, anyone F1, it's like, I mean, they spend all this time together, you know, in the off season and with the media and stuff like that. And also, I think like you look at the media, F1 versus NASCAR, like NASCAR is so much more unhinged, I'd say, than F1. Like,
Oh, totally. I mean,
yeah, like HR, I think is a lot more involved in F1. Like, if you say one wrong thing, it's like, oh, you're out. And NASCAR's like, oh, okay, whatever. You know, we don't care.
yeah, NASCAR is so much more like racing team, and we're
Yeah.
here to race. While F1 is, there's so much more corporate money. They've always been like
Yeah.
a corporate like event type of vibe.
It's always been
rather
more
than-
high class. Not to say that NASCAR's not high class, but it's always been this kind of like elitist
I say
group.
that as a compliment.
These very like you said, like high, like bigger sponsors, big
yeah,
names.
like
Yeah.
Mercedes isn't gonna want their drivers saying bad things about other
Yeah.
drivers.
Totally.
Yeah.
But in NASCAR, Gene Haas wouldn't care what you said about
Yeah.
Legacy Motor Club. Like, you know,
yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. Agree.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, back to on track stuff. I don't know if you guys saw the Norris and Leclerc incident in FP3. What do you guys think? Leclerc got a warning, like just a reprimand, no penalty. But how do you feel about the incident?
I think it's completely overblown, honestly. I watched it a few different times. I think it was literally just a simple case of just Lando just not seeing Charles. I think that's literally all it was.
Wait, you think it was Lando's fault? I thought it
No,
was
I don't think it's his fault.
dude.
I don't think it's his fault at all. I
Yeah.
think it's again, we talked about this a million times. No spotter. This would have been avoided.
Yeah, but also Charles had the racing line to the right. Like if he's gonna
No,
make
yeah.
he's hugging the
Yeah.
right. For some reason he decides to cut down on
Yeah.
a flying lap, like into Lando. Yeah, Lando
Yeah.
did move to the right slightly, but at Leclerc just I
Yeah.
don't know why. Like it's like he was a what's it called? A heat-seeking missile that lost its target and went after Lando. Like he just went
Yeah.
like
Well,
that.
it's
Like,
literally just the case, I think, of both drivers being at the wrong place at the wrong time. I think to your point also, I think it's weird that Lando was on the inside line like that anyway to begin with, because it seemed like he was slowing down, I guess. And then maybe at that it almost looked like that point he was gonna go out and then maybe go for a lap.
it
but
was
yeah.
goofy, but I think it was Leclerc's fault, 100%.
I
Yeah.
agree with that. Leclerc already saw him and knew where he was.
Yeah.
So, and Norris was off the racing line.
Yes, way off the
And-
racing line.
Yeah.
In any other lap, Leclerc would have never driven that way. So I wonder what he had against Lando, where he like
Yeah,
Maybe he's
basically
fishing
cut him off.
fishing for points or something. I don't know.
I
I don't
back
know.
into the to see.
I
as
guess
well.
he heard he had an upgraded new wing, and Leclerc's like, "I'm gonna
Yeah.
break that real quick," and like drove over. And, like,
Well-
tried to-
Charles, we execute Order 66.
Oh my
And
god.
again,
that-
this is kind of foreshadowing to qualifying. But did you see Max talking to Lando about it after quali? He goes, "Did you see that Leclerc only got a reprimand?" And he goes, "What? He literally almost broke my whole front wing." I
Like
do-
literally though, he almost
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
I do agree.
They're
I think
definitely
it's
not
Leclerc's
friends.
fault, but I also I questioned why, like you said, why he was kind of looked like he like passed Lando and then like immediately slowed down. So to me,
Yeah.
it begged the question was like, did he make a mistake somewhere to where he was like he was gonna stop his flying lap and start again, and he just wanted to be in front
Yeah.
of Lando? And seeing as
Yeah.
it was an F3, it doesn't really matter. And
right,
so
there
he
Yeah.
could be somebody behind him. You want to
think-
get out of the way too.
Maybe
Exactly.
he thought that like Lando was gonna do something. Like maybe he for some reason thought that Lando was gonna do something unexpected. So then he was like, I'll just stop. Like it's fine or something like that. And then I just but I
Yeah.
just think that he turned the wheel into Lando.
Yeah.
You
Well,
see it. It
I-
happened.
yeah. I don't know if. Oh,
I
sorry.
think that like the reason how we're talking about it right now is exactly why he was only given a reprimand. That and it was practice and not like during quali or the race or something. But
Yeah.
how do you you can't put 100% blame on anyone. You
No.
also
Yeah.
pick
Yeah.
out exactly what was the intentions. Obviously, we don't know because we didn't talk to them. But
Yeah.
what was the intention there? Were you like slowing down for another fast lap? Did you just want to be ahead of Lando? Did Lando know that you were slowing down, and had you slowed down slower, maybe like meaning instead of just halting on the brakes, you just kind of started going a little slower? Would you
Yeah.
guys still have collided?
Yeah.
Marina, you gotta type up an incident report and send it to Leclerc and tell him, fill this out, give us all the answers we need.
Full dates in
It's all
2
good.
weeks.
Report back.
I don't know if y'all noticed too, but I will say also, it looks like Lando, his taillights were on there. Like he was slowing down a lot more than expected, I guess. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I don't
Either
know.
Yeah.
way,
Maybe.
it wasn't good from Leclerc.
Yeah. It's one of those bang bang plays.
Yeah, it was one of those extremely unnecessary things that happened in free practice. It wasn't the only one though, because there was also the Hamilton and Stroll incident. I don't know how y'all felt about that, because I had more feelings about that one than I do about the Leclerc Norris.
Stroll did like the same thing. Hamilton's way off the racing line, like completely like off to the right, and Stroll had so much room to not hit him. Like he just could have just braked a little harder, and then like I just FP3 angered me like quite a bit. I was like, man, I could be in this practice session doing better than these idiots. Like it's ridiculous.
I like
Oh
that you
my
said
gosh.
idiots, because before that, I'm almost certain it was in this session. Lewis like impeded Stroll a tad, and so I think I remember hearing Lewis's radio being like, "My bad, I didn't know he was there." And again, to back to Steven's spotter question, that wouldn't even been an issue, but he was like, "My bad," and Stroll literally comes on the radio not 5 seconds later and goes, "This idiot," and then goes and hits him in the net. Like, I'm like, I mean,
I hate to even go there, but like, can we say entitled?
Oh man.
I'd-
Well, Lance's side, of course. I mean, with his dad, having the big role he does in Aston, it's just, I don't know. I'm getting that vibe. I don't know.
I don't. It's just, it's too much. It's too
Yeah.
much. Like you said, FP3 angered me.
Yep.
Qualifying was very relaxed, though. At least the beginning of it.
Yeah.
Sucks for Williams. They were both out in Q1. Kevin Magnussen kind of to be expected. I didn't expect the V carbs to both be out in Q1. That was kind of like shocking for me. But I don't know how y'all felt about that.
I was hoping Danny Rick was gonna have a good weekend because it was his 250th start, I think.
Yeah.
So I was hoping he would have a good one, but with qualifying like that, it wasn't a good start to it at the very least.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, very surprising. K Mag almost making into Q2 is kind of cool, but so it goes.
I feel like Jason might have more insight on this, but Yuki came on the radio and was like shocked that he was out, thinking it was a good lap. I don't know if that bodes well like for the engineers, think your driver is thinking he drove a great lap and he's literally like P18. Like, did that not like
Yeah.
worry a team?
That's like two things. Like sometimes you hear Max get like pole position and say, "Oh wow, that felt like a bad lap." But yeah, it just has to do with the drivability of the car. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you're always fighting the car, and some drivers could fight the car. You know, you could be struggling against it, like to make corners, make constant adjustments, always turn the wheel right and left, and put in a really fast lap. Or you could have a car that's consistent, predictable, easy to drive, so it feels really good, but slow. That's
Yeah.
probably what happened there. Is that
Yeah.
they made a very drivable car that feels good, never feels like it's oversteering, understeering, always complies when you say, "Oh, let's turn, let's brake,"
Yeah.
and the driver adjusts to that, and it feels very comfortable, but it's not fast.
Yeah.
So I'm just a total guess, but that's probably what happened there. Is he probably put in the maximum, thought he put in a great lap, and it felt good, but the car is just too slow.
Yeah.
So obviously concerning, like you said. That's probably what happened.
It's literally the whole idea of driving a slow car fast and driving a fast car slow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. It's like, whoa, I'm going so fast. No, your car sucks. Sorry, bud.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like if you took a Fiat 500 Abarth and you like go up to like 75, you know, it feels like you're flying off the face of the earth, but you're doing 75 in like this little tiny car. So,
Oh man, I wonder if that's how the F2 drivers feel.
Oh man.
I do feel like that a bit. Like that, man, that was a good
Yeah.
lap. After like the F1 pole lap, and it's like, bruh, that was like
Yeah.
really.
Well, and honestly, I don't know if y'all ever saw the interview where Joey Logano was talking with Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. They talked about this kind of. They're talking about because they both race at COTA, so they were comparing lap times. I think NASCAR was like, yeah. Joey's like, yeah, this is
Were, but I do remember them being
yeah.
like him being shocked about when I think Leclerc was like, yeah, this is the lap time we do, and he was like,
Yeah.
but then the other way
I
around,
think
Leclerc was really shocked about the number of races that they do.
no, yeah.
No, he was shocked about that, but he was also shocked about the distance. Because
Yeah.
we'll go to COTA and it'll be like a 400-mile event. You know, like it's and he's like, yeah, you're going a lot slower, but I don't know if I could be in a car that long.
Yeah. Yep.
So-
Yep.
Yeah, Leclerc's got
Yep.
a pee. I swear to God, every weekend there's a video where, or like a radio clip where it's like, can I just head to the bathroom real quick? It's like mid quality. He's like, I gotta go.
But I thought they wore diapers. Like,
He's the only
I thought-
driver I ever hear say that.
Hmm.
Like, could he
Weird.
be a full NASCAR distance?
Wait, what? Could he go full NASCAR distance?
Full
Probably
NASCAR?
not.
I don't know.
I don't think I've ever heard that from a NASCAR driver, Tristan. I don't know about you. I don't think I've ever
What?
heard someone be like, can I come in for a potty break? I don't think I've ever heard that.
Back in the day, I was watching NASCAR has these like it's called Radioactive, which is like a
Oh,
recap,
yes.
radio recap of the weekend. And there was one of Danica Patrick was on the radio, and she was like, "I really got to go to the bathroom." Because like there had been a rain delay and stuff like that, and she was like, "But I'm not gonna let tonight be the night I go in my fire suit."
I would love to know, just talking to drivers, how often that actually happens.
Yeah, it's
so many F1 drivers have been asked, and then like all of them are like, almost never. I
Yeah.
couldn't do that to the
Yeah.
mechanics. Like there's been one or two that have been like, I think it was Vettel. He said one day in Formula 3, I just couldn't hold it. But
Yeah.
um,
Amazon Next Gen Stats. How many diapers do F1 drivers go through a year?
like
my
super
God.
close. I love
Yeah,
love the graphics
hilarious.
are like super close to the wall, and then Perez's was like super close to losing your job. Like I need to find that. That's from Monaco.
Oh my gosh. It's like the dude with like the fishing pole. It's like, oh, you almost had it.
Oh,
Yeah.
you almost
oh.
I don't know how Perez still has a job. I'm like baffled as to like this is going to
Did he
continue
even
for
score
another
points
year.
today? Was it 8th?
Uh,
Like Ferrari
Well,
outscored them again, I think.
Like didn't.
yeah. I think he was with
Right.
Parrot. I mean, Piastri, wasn't he?
Perez
Around
got
there.
I gotta find
he
it.
scored 4 points.
yeah.
So, and like between him and Max, they scored 29. So they weren't outscored by McLaren or Mercedes. They weren't outscored by anyone today. Red Bull had the most
What's
points today,
that?
but they could have way outscored their competitors had Perez been decent.
Yep.
But we'll get to
Yep.
that because that all started in quali. Actually, that all started in Canada when he drove unsafely, got a 3-place grid penalty. And then he qualified 8th and started outside of the points. Actually, I want to say he ran most of the race outside of the points, to be fair.
Yeah, I think so.
It's not a good look.
No.
Nope. I mean, hey, happy Max, happy life. That's all I gotta say.
I guess.
Yeah, that's basically all they're doing.
Is it too early to say F1 is back when the top 2 were within 200ths of a second of each other, and then from Lewis to Carlos was 3 to 6. It was like 300ths of a second. Is that F1
I like
back?
F1.
That's good.
I would be very cautious. I would be very cautious. I don't want to get anyone's hopes up. I mean, I think we're trending towards that way, but I don't want to be like, yeah, we're back. I don't want to go full Dallas Cowboys on F1 right now.
It's our year.
Yeah.
Is Alpine back?
Yes.
No.
It's
That was
Alpine.
big.
It changes every week,
No.
honestly.
That
Like,
was
this
a
is what I
really
like
quick guess.
between RB, Alpine, and Williams. It's always a different team that is in the points. Like, start of the year, Alpine looked terrible, but then a couple races later, like, fighting for the points.
Starting
Back and
year,
forth constantly. And then top of the grid, too. Like, you never know who's in second place. Is it going to be Mercedes? Is it going to be Ferrari?
Yeah.
Is it going to be Red Bull? I mean, the only constant has been Perez, like, lower than 5th or 6th. But other than that,
There's one thing you
everybody's
can
been
count
everywhere.
on.
Yeah. Consistency. That's probably like somebody said, oh, look, he finished consistently crap every single race.
Congratulations, you're consistently meh.
I don't think
Yeah.
he started in the top 10 in the last, like, 6 races.
Ooh.
Like,
Well, I
genuinely.
mean, he's got 8th this race. But
No,
when
but
was
he
his
didn't-
last
Yeah.
podium?
He didn't start in the top 10. That's
Bahrain?
what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like, I don't think, because he started P11 because he qualified P8, but then he had the 3-place grid penalty.
He started off pretty good.
He started in Canada outside the points. He started in Monaco outside the points. Where did he start in Imola? Back in the-
Imola, he started in
That's right.
11th.
yeah,
Ooh.
so again, out of
Ouch.
points. Where did he start in Miami?
oh, jeez.
Probably not good.
Oh,
Miami was the last time he started in the points. That was 4th. And that was on when was that?
It was 4th, and he finished 4th.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, he
And
didn't.
that was
Oh,
back in May.
but he was disqualified, it looks like. No,
Oh.
I think the app is just glitching. It says 0 points. Might as well be, but
Well.
But, like, that's insane. That's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 races since he started in the points.
Yeah.
right.
Like,
Yeah. Well,
That's ridiculous.
genuinely, I know we've talked about before, there already isn't. Well, I guess Checo is literally a case of you either hate him or you love him, I guess.
well, you either hate him or you're Mexican. No offense, but like
Oh my god.
the only people that are Checo fans are from Mexico because it's their home country driving.
Yeah, no, that's fair. The reason why I say that is I just wonder how long it's going to be before Red Bull fans just start, not like rioting, but like, just start, I don't know, just start going crazy. You know what I mean?
Soon
I don't
enough,
know.
I'm sure.
if
Just
they
like
lose the championship, like team championship this year, I
Yeah,
think that's one.
yeah, definitely.
I agree.
Yeah.
There's also a bit of the case of like Red Bulls also I hate their social medias because they put so much because I think they're trying to get people to like him more because they're on social media, they're head of media and strategy and whatnot. They know
Yeah.
they know that people are complaining about Checo. They know that people are talking about this contract extension in a negative light. So I think they're trying to make people like him and doing kind of these like TikTok trends with them and stuff. Which, by the way, can we talk about the Sauber TikToks? Because
Those things are getting crazy, man. I don't even know
those
anymore.
are next level cringe.
Yeah.
TikTok.
Well, I think it's even more interesting, of course, that like they're only gonna be around for like what, another year?
Yeah,
And then Audi's
maybe-
gonna get super serious.
Yeah. Maybe that's just the plan there. Maybe they're just like steak and their sponsor just like, hey, let's make this as crazy as possible so we can get as much money out of this as we possibly can.
to
You know
be
what I
fair,
mean? But
we are talking about them, right? Like,
yeah, no, for sure it's working.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Valtteri
Yeah.
Silver ad was great though.
Say it again.
Oh, that will go down in history, man.
Valtteri's Uber ad for the Australian
that was
Grand Prix.
Oh my
amazing.
god,
That was great. I
fantastic.
don't think anything will be better than that.
Yeah.
No, that's one of the
Yep.
that's one of the best F1 ads
So
ever.
great.
Well, not F1, but like ads with an F1 driver.
Yeah.
There was also the Heineken 00 with Max was pretty good too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I see
The
that.
Mustang in those ads.
I swear it's because the Ford partnership with the powertrain. That's what I think is. I
Probably.
think is thought. But yeah, I will say this also. Oh gosh, I just about lost my thought. Oh no.
Oh no.
I had it, then I lost it.
I'm doing research.
It's all right.
Yeah.
We'll
Okay.
we'll catch it in a little bit.
All right.
All right, let's head to the race. All the drivers started on softs, and when I saw those used softs on Max Verstappen's car, I was like, "This is the biggest mistake you've ever made." Like
You talking about the start of the race, right? When you start on used
car
softs.
keeps on used softs. Everybody around him was
Yeah.
on new softs.
I honestly think that was a million IQ. The way that it
That
worked
was
out.
really good.
Yeah, I was
It
gonna
worked
say.
in
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when
No.
the
I
off, I was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. I mean,
sometimes having scuffed tires is like, it helps, especially
Yeah.
with race start, pace in general, because they're already a little worn. It
Yeah.
can be a positive.
And that
Yeah.
magical move by George off the start. Like, obviously, Norris went to cover Verstappen on the inside.
Yeah.
They're both
Yeah.
off the racing line. George, great start on the racing line, right past Hamilton.
Oh
he
yeah.
got on the express lane real
got more
quick.
grip. Oh yeah, no, got more grip on the racing line because it's rubbered in. And
Yep.
just
Yeah.
flew around that. Like, I literally screamed. I couldn't believe it. Obviously,
Yeah.
he couldn't hang on. There was a ton more strategy later on. Like, McLaren had to take a few gambles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did all they
Well,
could on
there
the
was.
strategy
I think
side.
there was. I don't think that tire by Max was the difference in the race. I think it was literally just came down to a pit stop by Lando again. And I don't
Overall,
put this
he was
on.
just faster.
Yeah, I don't think it was his fault either. I mean, I remember seeing with Piastri, like on the second pit stop, like, huh, that's a little slow. I think it was like, what was it, like 3.1 seconds or something like
Yeah.
that. And then like Lando came in, they had a problem with like I think it was the rear left, like the lug nut
Still
just
wasn't
wouldn't come
enough.
off.
I don't think
Yeah.
that made the difference. Even if it was
Well-
perfect stops by
Well, hold on.
McLaren.
I mean, he was 2.5 to 3 seconds behind Max on the last lap.
Yeah. Well,
Closer. He would have finished the race within DRS. I don't think he would have won the
Yeah.
race. I don't think that made the crucial difference.
But being in DRS, I mean,
I think so. I mean, because like you look at it, he had to start. I think, what was it, 8-9 seconds behind Max when he came out of the pits. If he would have had a stop, and granted, also Max had an insane pit stop at 1.9 seconds. Like,
1.9.
golly.
yeah.
The season.
But like, yeah, like if Lando had a decent stop, say like I would say McLaren, they average. I don't know what their average is, but I would say they do probably about. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about the twos. And if he had that, he probably would have came out with say I don't know, maybe like 5-6 seconds worth of gap to Max.
Yeah.
And I mean, he made that up in like
A
you
lap.
got there real close. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got within almost a second at the last lap. So I
Yeah.
mean, I think it would have been right there.
Obviously, hindsight is 20/20, but like, I think there could have been a battle. Is all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
I
And
agree.
traffic didn't help either.
Yeah.
that's
traffic
fine.
didn't help.
My other question is, do you think that there should have been more of an investigation into the move that Lando made on Max on that first lap? Like, Max was on the grass. And this isn't even like a Verstappen fan being like, I
Yeah.
think should have been more of a
Yeah.
talking point. But I do think that, like, Lando did himself a disservice by doing Max a disservice and pushing him that far wide.
Yeah.
There was room there
think,
for
I think Lando could have probably
Lando
gotten a reprimand, but I don't.
make it
I
through.
don't know. It looks like hard racing right at the beginning. That's all.
Yeah,
I
hard
can-
racing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say there's anything there.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, there was
I
just
think there
like,
definitely could have been more investigation, but
I think
No, I
Russ
think we had
shouldn't have
enough
gone through.
magnifying glasses on this. I think it's settled racing incident.
What about
fair
K9
enough.
false start?
I'd,
Because I didn't catch it until I saw the penalty, and I was like, "What do you get a penalty
Yeah.
for?"
He's just irrelevant enough where they never showed a replay of it. So,
I was gonna say I never
Uh,
even saw it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't
that
see a
type of
replay of
thing.
it either.
That type of thing is automatic. Like, there's a
Yeah.
certain tolerance. I think it's like 0.02 of a second. in
Yeah.
Valtteri Bottas, last time I saw this happen, well, there's one a few races ago where somebody's flagged for a false start, but his deemed
Well,
not
Lando was
one.
investigated for
I think it was
one,
Lando.
wasn't he?
That was it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then back in 2017, I was certain that Bottas got a false start. I was so certain I took a video of it. It's still in my phone of the TV
Gosh.
back in 2017. How many years? That's like 5 years. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I have the video here.
Five.
Like the lights go out for Austria, and then you see the tires start moving. Like, look. Tires moving, and then the lights go out. Like,
Wow,
there's a little bit of tolerance, and that was Bottas's Mercedes back then. So,
Yeah.
but when that tolerance is within, they'd have a look, and obviously,
I bet the
Okay, man, that's
tolerance
too
is
much.
like as long as he's still in the box, then maybe
that's what the tolerance is. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why Bottas got away with it. Even though he started moving
yeah,
before the lights went out,
he
Yeah.
was
he
still,
was
in
still
the
within the box.
Yeah.
Once the lights went out, he didn't leave the starting box until the lights went out.
It's
That
a game of
was the-
inches.
It is
Yep.
game of
Yeah.
inches. It literally is.
Did you see Lando? Lando moved in his starting box too. Before the last car approached the grid, he like inched forward just a smidge.
As
was
long
right-
as he's in the box.
Yeah, he was still
Yeah.
in the box. I think he realized that he was a little further back in the box and that he had more room to move, so he went up just a smidge.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess it's probably the same thing as I'm thinking of like an offsides in like the NFL, where if you jump and then jump back, you're fine.
Yeah,
I think it's
Yeah.
probably that
The
same.
only
with it.
thing you can't do is reverse on the grid. That is one thing. Is like if you've gone too far and you start backing up and you reverse on the grid, you're not allowed to reverse on the grid. Once you're
Yeah.
too far, you're too far.
you just have to accept it.
Yeah.
basically.
Well, I think isn't it like stupid hard to get in reverse anyway?
Yeah,
Like F1.
Yeah,
because
these
they
cars
make
aren't made
that
to go
gear.
backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, they make it super light and like as fragile, coincidentally as possible, because they never want to use it. It's rare that a driver has to use it, and so they
Yeah.
make it as light as possible, as small as possible, and the reliability of it suffers. So like
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard to actually get the car to go in reverse
I wonder if it's
because
like
it's so rarely
it's
used.
got to be a
Yeah.
requirement then to have the car in reverse, have it be able to go into reverse gear because
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
able, but does it always
Yeah.
work?
yeah.
I wonder if
That's what I'm
it's
saying,
like
though, it's a
the
requirement because why even put it in the car to begin with if you didn't? Have
yeah.
Yeah, I think it is
Just a
definitely-
reliability issue.
Yeah.
it? Sure.
How does our resident Ferrari fan feel about the Charles and Charles
The Charles and Charles show.
Charles and Carlos. I hope their friendship is still alive, but honestly, Ferrari's done with Carlos already. Like he's already been listed, and he's listed for adoption right now. That's
Oh.
what it feels like. It's pretty bad. Obviously, I wish the best for him, and he doesn't deserve to lose his seat in F1 science. He's done everything,
Yeah.
you know. And I don't think, obviously Lewis Hamilton, huge get, like awesome, incredible, but he's gonna be gone a couple years. You need to start thinking of the future. If
Yeah.
they didn't
Yeah.
have Bierman waiting in the wings, I wish they would have signed Carlos to a long-term, like 5+ year contract.
I
I
agree.
mean,
That would have been ideal. Like
Carlos-
if Hamilton wouldn't have moved, Carlos should have been locked up long-term, and then Bierman should have plenty of time to develop. Now you have Lewis as a stopgap until whatever that next talent is, probably Bierman and Haas next year.
Yeah.
Before they fill that second seat.
it just doesn't make any sense to me when Carlos is literally the only other driver on the grid right now that is currently repping 2 back-to-back years with wins. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, so far, I mean,
Yeah.
Checo could technically pull something out of the freaking hat and make that happen. I don't know, but yeah, it's just
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's,
cute too.
it's,
Yeah, he was
it's-
the only non-Red Bull driver to win a race last year.
yeah.
Came
Yeah.
out after an appendicitis, won his first race back. Again, granted, Max had the issues that race, and Perez is not consistent, but he still won a race, and it kind of showed, like, firstly, it showed Red Bull wasn't perfect, but it showed the capabilities that Carlos Sainz has. And he even said, he's like, I'm winning for me. Like, this is to prove to myself that I'm still capable of winning races.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think it's also just gonna be interesting to see. Oh, sorry.
go
I was-
for it.
I was just gonna say, I think it'd be interesting to see, since we're just kind of seeing this now, how this is going to take a turn once, well, assuming, of course, fingers crossed, that Carlos does go to another team. How that relationship kind of, I guess, unravels would be the right word. If it just gets worse and worse, or if it just, I don't know, kind of just stays the same. Because I mean, I could see it getting worse for sure, considering they're already on the same team when this is happening. But I don't know.
I could also see it get better though.
Yeah, I can see that too.
I mean, Carlos has mentioned how it's been really tough for him to focus on the future when he's in a car that most of the time is capable of winning races, and so he wants to dedicate his full abilities and his full focus to Ferrari. Even though he's leaving, he still wants to win. He's still fighting for that win. I think he kind of knows in the back of his head that all of his options right now are ones that he's not going to be able to win in 2025. He's not going to be on the podium very often, at least not next year. So he is putting everything into Ferrari, and I think it kind of sucks the way Ferrari's treated him a bit. But on the other hand, compared to the way they've, like, Mercedes has treated Lewis, I mean, Ferrari's done a good job to make sure that, Carlos is still there.
Well, so, I think it's probably just honestly just part of it just being that Charles has a job and Carlos doesn't have a guarantee right now. So I think that's probably part of it. It's just a lot of pressure on him probably. And that's the thing with Lewis, I guess, too. Like, he has a job again, so it's like they're not going to really mess with him, I don't think, too much. Well, maybe
even
Mercedes
if Lewis would
but
retire next year. Like, honestly, I think he would
the end of next year.
Yeah, like I mean, I would say, like, Carlos is still in his prime of his career. He still has a career ahead of him to achieve more in his mind, with more wins, championship. I mean, Lewis has already done everything, set all the records. I feel like, and he has so many things he does outside of F1. I feel like if he was forced to step away for one reason or another, he would find his way with it. Carlos would probably have a much more difficult time because he doesn't have anything else right now. This is it. He still has to get the wins, get the championships.
I was just thinking, I'm surprised we haven't talked about this before, man. Of course, I guess I get it, but this is reminding me of a lot when Tom Brady went to the Bucks.
Lewis, of course.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Yep.
He's gonna go there. He's gonna win a championship. Have a farewell season, and that'll be it.
He's not gonna win a championship, but we can have our debate club.
Okay, Marina. Okay, Miss Negative Nancy over here.
The current situation on the grid. If anyone's gonna win a championship besides Max Verstappen, it's gonna be Lando Norris.
Well, I'm not gonna be mad at that, but
Be for real, Jason. Don't be a Delulu Ferrari fan.
We have a whole other
Well, what's the fun in not being?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm never
the real
gonna say,
reason why Cowboys fans are the way they are. Because why not? It's fun.
So, you guys think Lando could have won the race without the pit stop? I think there's no way.
Oh, I think absolutely. If he had that pit stop, I don't want to put in the pit crew. I hate doing that.
Yeah.
But I think.
But they're part of the team.
No, I know. I'm just being sympathetic. I don't know.
Not blaming Mick Tinker for
No, I know. I just feel bad. Yeah.
I say.
But it is.
I say don't blame the pit crew. Blame George Russell, because I think the reason Lando Norris didn't win this race is because George Russell pitted way too early. Is because George pitted, Max pitted to cover off George, and then Lando was kind of in this position where it's like, either I lose track position to both of them and pit right now, or my tire is so good I go long, and this is kind of where I think McLaren have room to get better. Is they were on the radio asking Lando, like, what do you want to do, right? On the other hand, you have Max Verstappen where Red Bull says box and he boxes. He doesn't even, like, that's something that a lot of times I don't think even crosses his head, like, what's the strategy here? He doesn't have to think. Red Bull's so strong with strategy, they very rarely make mistakes on that end. Whereas they were kind of waiting for Lando to be like, do you want to pit? Do you not want to pit? Do you want to go long? And I think the decision to go long was the wrong decision, in my opinion.
Well, I think two. I think one, of course, we can always take it back to that start that Lando had. I think historically he hasn't been the greatest starter. Yeah. But then also, I think this is something I've kind of noticed. I don't know if you guys have picked up on it, but I feel like Lando is learning how to. I mean, I guess you could probably say that, but learning how to win, if that makes sense. Obviously, he's got his first win, but I think that has a lot to do with it. I think Max has been there before, and Lando is still kind of figuring out his wits. He's got that first win, but I think he's still figuring out what he needs to get a winning car.
Yeah.
That's such a good point. I love that. I love that because you're right. He hasn't been starting at the front all that long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is kind of new territory for him. He blames it on himself, which, to be fair, I do think that had he had a better start, it would have been a different story. But I don't think he had a particularly poor start. I think George just had a start.
Well,
the ordinary.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all caught it either, but I remember hearing at the beginning of the broadcast, they're like, Lando and McLaren went through like more starts than they have in a long. Well, I guess like more than usual per se to really get that start down.
Yeah.
So I think that plays a part in it. But then also I think it goes back to like you said with like the learning how to win thing. It's like, he's definitely I've definitely noticed a change in his persona as well. Like before he was happy, with the top 5s and getting the top 10s even per se. But now it's like he knows that like he could have had that win. It's starting to
total mindset shift. Like Jensen Button, I read his book. He said the mindset shift going from Honda that was like barely fighting for points to finishing on the podium every weekend and feeling disappointed when you finish second or third is like insane. But it's obviously to expectations. Like now the expectation is like the win is within my grasp. So you're upset with anything but a win. It's mentally so tough.
But look at like our conversations. I feel like we've had week after week. We've talked about Lando should have won this race. Lando should have won this race.
Totally.
So like you gotta think like if we're thinking it, he's thinking it. It's like
for sure.
It's gotta be parallel.
There's two things that I'll add to that. The first is I felt like Lewis Hamilton was much happier to finish third than Lando was to finish second, which isn't. I feel like it should be like that in a way. Like usually, the higher you finish, the happier you are, right? But much happier to be third than Lando was to be second. And again, it is that expectation, right? Lewis hasn't been on the podium since I want to say it was Mexico of last year, which is quite a long time from now.
Yeah,
crazy.
So that's the first thing. The other thing is Lando was never worried about the Mercedes. He was always worried about I'm fighting Max ahead, which is another, like I said, a huge mindset shift. You listen to the radio on both the McLaren side and the Red Bull side. They're only worried about each other. They're not worried about the Mercedes. They're not worried about the Ferraris. They're worried. Lando is worried about Max, and Max is worried about Lando because said there's no rivalries, but they're the ones fighting each other at the end of it. So
it's true.
That is huge. I want to really quickly mention one thing that Will Buxton tweeted, which I forgot to talk about when we talked about quali, but he said, my favorite stat from this weekend is that it's been a whole Ollie Behrman since McLaren has last started from pole in Barcelona. He was born on race day of the 2005 Spanish Grand Prix, which is the last time that McLaren took pole in Barcelona.
To be fair, McLaren hasn't been around that long. But there's a big gap in between where they are now and where they used to be. You know what I mean? Like they were with Mercedes and they weren't really in the sport for a while.
Yeah.
But
well, I gotta say that another fun fact, I put this in the notes too, is that Alpine have finally overtaken Ollie Behrman in the championship. So give up to Alpine 8 points versus Behrman 7. So they finally conquered Ollie Behrman on the way to glory.
Only, dude. Alpine Dubs.
Lando overtook Leclerc in the championship.
Yes, he
now
did.
That I am sad about.
He also got driver of the day and fastest lap. I mean, I think very like you through the team radio, through everything. We even talked about Lando should have won this race. But I think you have to be proud. Like, you have to look back at a hell of a weekend for Lando. First pole since Sochi, what was that, 2020, 2021? It's been a long time.
Sorry. I mean, cut you off. Should Lando have won driver of the day? I say no.
Oh.
George.
Hamilton.
George?
I'm giving it to Hamilton.
Yeah. Well, where did Hamilton start, though?
Started in
third.
He was P3 at the start?
The top 3 is exactly the way it started. Actually, I think the top 6 are exactly the way they started.
Except for Lando.
Yeah. Honestly, it's kind of, I feel like you have to go Lando. But
No,
So
I'm sticking with Hamilton. I'm no wimp.
Hey,
My
staying
God.
on business. Staying on business.
well, the driver of the day so wasn't your favorite driver.
My favorite driver is absolutely. Yeah, I'm gonna have to jump ships very soon. Yeah, no, he's getting dropped from fantasy very soon as well. Yeah, Fernando Alonso is just not.
Team's fault, not him.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not. I want to just not blame him at all, and I don't think it's his fault. But still,
Okay, predictions
What are you gonna do?
for the Austrian Grand Prix next weekend.
It is
God,
next
I
weekend.
love
Let's
the weather.
go.
Austrian Grand Prix. We're going to Red Bull's homeland.
Oh boy.
So I'm gonna call for a massive turnaround. Max is going to win this race.
Is
But-
Paris gonna be 2?
No,
Don't you
I'm
say it.
I'm not that positively minded towards Checo.
Okay.
But I'm gonna call for. This is so boring, but I'm gonna say Lando P2 again, and Checo P3. Yeah, I'm gonna be optimistic. I think both Red Bulls are gonna be on the podium.
Wow.
Oh,
Oh.
Okay. Wow. Very good.
Nathan?
I hate this. I think it's becoming normal to be on the Lando train now, right? Like we can all agree on that.
Yeah,
I'll
totally.
be on the Lando train together.
It's hard not
All right,
to be.
because I do want to say Lando win, but like I feel like that's getting worse. But yeah. I think especially since he didn't get the result he wanted this past weekend, I think he's gonna be driving with his hair on fire. I think he's gonna get that strategy. I think the pit crew is gonna come back better than ever. I think Lando gets the win. Just gonna go classic Max 2, 3. I'm gonna go Lewis. I'm gonna go Lewis P3. Yeah.
So pretty much same podium, just Max and Lando different. Jason?
Yeah.
Ferrari historically run pretty good at Austria. So obviously I really want to say Leclerc win. You know why not? Leclerc win, Max second. It's so hard to say Price third these days. Price win, Max second, Piastri third. And honorable mention is Haas will definitely be in the points. They always run well here. It's part to do with their Ferrari ties.
Yeah.
I just gotta ask,
whatever it is about the Ferrari chassis and drivetrain, they're always pretty good around Austria. So
I gotta ask now, where do you have Lando? I just gotta know.
Yeah.
Lando always fighting for the podium. He's got to be fourth or fifth. I don't see him lower than fifth.
Okay.
So, wait, what was your final prediction then? Leclerc, Verstappen, Piastri?
Leclerc, Verstappen, Piastri.
Interesting.
That one's interesting. I don't know. I will 100% be predicting a Max win. I said it before the pod, before we recorded, but I have been on such a run this week. I've predicted like 4 things accurately to this, like the score of multiple football games, or football as in
Hey,
soccer.
don't jinx yourself now.
I'm hoping this can be the first accurate prediction of this podcast because we have yet to get a single podium right, any of us. The 4 of us have never accurately predicted a podium. Starting to think we're cursed.
Dang.
I think I'm going to go Max, Lando, George.
So same thing as today, right?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Same
Oh,
as-
Lewis was third. Yeah. Yep.
Same
Yep.
as Cam.
Yep.
All right,
Okay.
quote of the day. Someone's phone is ringing.
Is that first off? Is that a driver?
Is it my mom?
Saying that.
Like, I mean, it's like that. Like, I'm scared.
When
Where are these sources coming from?
was this from the car? Oh, it's definitely a driver listening. Alonso.
No. I will give it is from
George Russell.
No.
What was the hint?
It's from the Spanish Grand Prix. It's not this year, but it's from the Spanish Grand Prix. Not that that's very helpful, but
Oh boy.
You gotta go through the questions. Current driver.
yes.
Okay.
I'll take my
Actually-
shot in the dark. Leclerc.
No.
Dang.
No,
Danny
it
Rick.
has to be Max because it's him leading the
Max.
race being bored.
Oh.
Because
Yep.
someone's
Wow.
phone is ringing. Is it helmets? That was the rest of it. I just didn't read it. That would give it away.
All right. Grumps
Yeah.
can put his ringer off again.
Man,
wonder if it's a Super Max song. Like you just hear Max sex, he's like, "Oh,
oh my
Oh,
God.
God.
I was trying to take this."
If Max gets a phone call in the middle of like an interview, it's like, yeah.
You see, Max wouldn't put that as his ringtone, but
He
Helmet.
hates it. He hates that
Does
song.
he really?
Yeah.
Oh, man,
Of
it's
course
so
he does.
fun.
I think the other drivers on the grid like that song more than Max does. Like, I think
Oh,
Lando
no way.
quite likes it. I think
Yeah.
it's that's
Well, I think
Yeah.
Lando
Especially that
probably
Max
sees all
hates
the
it.
memes. He's like, but babe, my parents are 1 minute and 37 seconds away. And it's like a big da 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 da.
Oh my god.
I've seen that so many times. It's
Yeah,
hilarious.
That's
Oh
awesome.
man, you gotta
Just
love
laugh
it.
New
You gotta
every
love
time.
record.
Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. We will be back again next week after the Austrian Grand Prix, Mondays at 11:30 Eastern Time. Between now and then, we got Tech Tuesday, Wag Wednesday, Throwback Thursday, Fun Fact Friday, and the occasional man on the street, as well as this week's predictions on our Instagram and TikTok at Lights Out Latest. So thank you guys for watching.
Peace.
Peace.